Welcome to the Life as an Observer podcast. My name is Ryan Bean. I am your host in self-observation. This podcast is an exploration of physical and non-physical self through discussion around yoga, meditation, self-improvement, self-realization, and practices that elevate the mind-body-soul connection. Let's start observing. This episode of Life as an Observer is made possible by patron support. If you'd like to support this program, you can visit patron.podbean.com/lifeasanobserver to learn more. Today on Life as an Observer, I get to speak with my friend Ania Amador, who is an artist, a public speaker, and someone who really lives deliberate creation in her own life. She exemplifies how to utilize meditation and laws of attraction principles to really manifest things into her own life and teaches that to others. Ania is an amazing mural painter, large-scale paintings and on canvas, but she's also creating community through her mural mazes. She's creating spaces for healing through her retreats. And Ania's story of her own evolution into deliberate creation and her own evolution into doing and manifesting her dream life is really, really powerful. She shares that with us today on her deliberate creation journey on Life as an Observer. I'm really excited for you to hear this and to be a part of it. All of her information is in the show notes below. Where you can find her and where to find information about an upcoming retreat that her and I are doing together. Take a listen, and I look forward to your feedback. Enjoy today's episode with Ania Amador. Hello.
Hey, sorry, I'm a few minutes behind and had to reschedule.
That's okay. That's okay. Well, I'm glad you're here. It's been forever since I've seen you. Where are you at right now? Which part? Are you East Coast, right? Or the West Coast?
Yep.
Or?
I am in Tampa.
Yay.
I just got back home. I was in South Carolina and got home 2 days ago and just been trying to catch up on everything.
I'd imagine that as things starting to open up, that your schedule is starting to get even more packed, right?
Totally. And then I had this like ocean ceiling mural that blew up and I got it went viral in a bunch of different places. So I've got tons of messages to respond to in murals, book, lots of really cool things that came from that.
I actually saw that. I saw your time lapse, which I like it when I can see the time lapse. I'm sure a lot of people do because it's just kind of fun. Even though, you're in there for days and days and days, we get to see the excitement of, a couple seconds.
Totally.
A few seconds. So, boy, man, yeah. I guess I want to start where we left off. So I'm no longer in Florida. You're there, but I'm no longer in Florida. And I think we both made some massive changes when things started to shut down. Now I know we're opening up. Are you getting ready to go back on tour anytime soon?
I am. I'm not doing my traditional band tours, but I am going to do a pretty long festival run. I've got 5 festivals before the end of the year, and then murals mixed in between those things. Another art and meditation retreat lined up in November, followed by a trip to Costa Rica in December. So I'm pretty much maxed out for the rest of the year.
We're going to talk about that meditation retreat in a little bit. I'm definitely interested to hear about what's happening. So those who maybe don't know, maybe you don't even know this, but I talk about you on the podcast pretty often. Let's say we've had a few. I actually had a couple episodes ago, I had Tom Denard on the show from the Hostel in the Forest. So we got to talk a little bit, and I've been doing I do a lot of breath work, but I incorporate deliberate creation. I can incorporate even focus wheels into that breath work cycle and sort of just bringing that magnetism that comes from our nervous system activation amplified with intention and send it out to the field, and I've shown off a few pictures of what a focus wheel looks like and what your definition of a focus wheel looks like. I mean, it's all just a tool, but So I've sent a few people your way. So those who are looking for you, I know that you still have your social web with your art, but you still doing a lot of stuff with deliberate creation on your deliberate creation site?
I am. I'm in the process of releasing a new workbook this year
Hmm.
and just kind of revamping some of that material, but it's all still there. It can be found at deliberateCreation.life. I also have my website, aniaamador.com, which links to everything that we'll probably
Yeah.
talk about today. So that's the easiest to go to. And then the Deliberate Creation Facebook group is still active, and that's just a
Yes.
place for anybody that wants to go and share what they're focusing on or have a conversation about this topic.
So Ania, you're a full-time artist. I wrote down the things that I think you are, but I'm gonna let you tell me who you think you are. I guess we all have our own narratives of what others think we are. But as an artist, a deliberate creator, I think of you as a performer and a retreat facilitator and leader and meditator. Um, just to name a few of the things that you get into. And you and I met, I don't know how many years ago, and it was at a little place in Orlando, Florida called The Social, and I don't even remember which band was playing, honestly, Anya. It was, a swirl of reggae music and some other things, and you were painting something, and we talked for a moment, and then I think we end up rendezvousing after that in a little place called Camp Funky Love
Mm-hmm.
in the middle of Swanee, and I believe it was during the Purple Hatters Ball. And I'm gonna share a little bit about this, just because you may not have known the impact that it made on me. But um, I was working through a few things at that time, had to do with love, life, creation, partnerships, whatever. There's all the stuff that we all kind of work through, right? And I woke up in the morning, and you and a friend of ours, Stacy, were getting ready to meditate, and you put on some Abraham Hicks, and you just put on, which to me became a big thing. Just a morning rampage, 15 minutes of just like get your day started right. And that particular track, I had never heard it. And those who dig deep into Abraham Hicks' work, you'll find that that's a pretty popular one, but I hadn't heard it yet. And from that day afterward, I listened to that almost every day, and I will say probably every day, at least twice a day, driving back and forth to my corporate job, because I needed momentum. I needed something to move me past where I felt stuck and to start creating. And at the end of that, we'll say it was maybe a year or so, is when I decided to pack up, move to India. And that's really kind of what that inspired action from that track that you introduced to me brought back, was like, hey, you can listen all day long, but if you don't take some action, it's just words here. And so I was called to say, pack up, go, and get out. And I know that you've had a lot of those types of moments, and I was going to kind of lead us down that road a little bit about moments where we have to take inspired action. And your story, I've heard it several times because we've done several retreats together, but I think your story with, you know, doing what you love and finding a way to make it work with the RV is a really impactful one. I would love to hear it again.
Yeah, totally. I'm happy to share with everyone. It's an evolving story, right? It's
Yeah.
this life experience. It's just unfolding, but it has been very exciting to see the connection between my own focus and what's happened. And it started back when I was in Tallahassee. I'd gone to school at Florida State, and after graduating, I started a marketing company. I had a lot of big clients and was really grinding hard to try to establish this business and help all of these other business owners grow their companies utilizing social media. But I just felt worn out as an artist and a creative inside, and paying rent in an art studio I was never able to visit, and not really having that spark as light as I know it could be. I wanted to make a change, and I was looking for a vehicle, a way to reach a lot of people and a way out. And next thing you know, some of my interns were going to music festivals, and they introduced me to the owner of a giant LED Ferris wheel called the Wheel of Lights. And the owner needed a website and marketing services, and saw that I was also an artist and offered the opportunity to set up my art next to the Ferris wheel at some of these events. And keep in mind, I had never been to a music festival. I had no idea what this opportunity entailed, but this is one of those examples of inspired action. I had put it out there in the universe that I wanted to change. And here, seemed like that vehicle, the biggest, brightest thing that would be showing up to these places. So I answered the call. I pushed all my clients off my platform, went on tour with the Ferris wheel, packed up my apartment and art studio, and just went on the road. And I learned a lot. I started to see like all these other artists that are monetizing their craft and getting paid to live paint at festivals. And on that journey, I met my business partner, Christopher Morpus, who was already painting with several well-known reggae bands that just so happened to be music that I had been listening to for years, wondering how could I work with these guys? It'd be so cool to get to know them and get to spread their message through my art. To meeting Chris, who did in fact know them, was already painting on stage, to then him and I starting a company together and a whole side project where we're creating art live at these shows. And I'm standing next to those bands in front of thousands of people living that dream. So several years doing that in my Kia Soul. I'm traveling around.
That's when
in
I
my
met
car,
you.
just
Was it when you had the Kia Soul full of canvases and a small dog?
Totally. Small dog is still around. Livy Lou. So I eventually outgrew that vehicle, yet the funds to be able to upgrade just were not there. And this gave me a perfect opportunity to apply what I know about the law of attraction and the power of my own focus. And instead of allowing all the reasons why that was impossible or totally against the odds given my current conditions, I went for it. And it started with a process in my mind of breathing through the frustration over where I still was, taking that one last tour in my Kia Soul, doing 10,000 miles in 3 weeks. And instead of just like complaining about having to sleep in a parking lot, I was like, I'm so grateful for this gas mileage. This might be the last time that I'm ever able to see these mountains, because I might be sleeping in my RV next year. You know what I mean? And so I just appreciated that journey from knowing that I had this need that I had to meet somehow and getting there. And within 2.5 months of this visualization practice, this extreme gratitude every day for what was working and where I knew I was headed, and the relentless belief that the universe had my back, and that even if things looked so far from where I wanted to be, that somehow it would unfold. Sure enough, had a friend reach out, loan me $10,000. I had sold $7,000 worth of art and had some money donated, came up with a $20,000 down payment. And most importantly, found the perfect travel vehicle, this small RV that fit in a parking space, that had bunk beds, that could store all my gear. I mean, this was just so far from my reach only a matter of months before this, including the fact that people told me I'd never find an RV that met those specifications. They don't even make small RVs with storage. Yeah. Yet here it was, parked in my driveway with everything I could have ever possibly needed. And a perfect physical example of having a desire that you allow to be a reality before it ever happens in your mind and in your practice. And then you take those inspired actions to create that reality.
It's an amazing story to hear, and just to hear you say it again too, because you still say it with conviction, like, wow, I just watched things happen for me again. And I think it's that deliberate creation comes from the feeling, right? It doesn't come from the thinking, it comes from the feeling. And that's, we're feeling it again, like as though it's happening right now, where we're like, oh, I'm in that, like the chemicals start to go through your body and you're like, oh, that is happening. That's that serotonin, that's that happiness that's coming out just by telling your story. And I think that's where a lot of people get stuck though. And you and I have both seen that. Maybe you can tell me sometimes when we've been stuck or you've seen someone stuck, but where they go, I'm in such a bad place, or I'm such in a hard place. How can I get into the feeling good when nothing as good is happening for me? I'm right here, and yeah, I want to listen to you, but like I have the job I don't like, the relationship I don't like, the money I don't have. How do I step into that next place where I can feel something coming for me?
Yeah, sometimes the gap between where we are and where we want to be doesn't even seem manageable. It just seems insurmountable. And we have to realize that from that vantage point, if we stay viewing the situation on these current conditions from this perspective, then that cycle of energy will just continue and be highly unlikely we'll be able to move. But if we're able to, on a just moment to moment basis, release a little bit of resistance about any subject, not just what we're focusing on, but just with your breath, even releasing resistance about this moment and being present here and now. And then realize that it's not a jump to like make a hurdle over that gap. it is working your way up an emotional scale. And it's okay if you're in a negative place today, and tomorrow you're a little bit less negative. Maybe the next day you're irritated. The next day after that, you're okay, and
Yeah.
maybe then it goes to happy, excited. And you're just, I think that what happens with people is they get really discouraged when the thought of going from this really negative place to like super happy is what they think they have to do. And if we remember that any effort to feel better is that much less resistance, it's a smaller gap. We're closing the
Yeah.
gap, even if it's one step by step from where we are and where we want to be, if we make the effort. So I go, just like Abraham says, I go general. I go outside, appreciate the sunshine. I always start with my breath. That's the most important step to be able to regulate how you feel and recenter, is to ground back in with that process of breathing. So
It's like our only, it's our gateway to our autonomic nervous system.
mhm.
And a lot of people don't realize that we can regulate the things that we once thought we couldn't regulate. We can do that utilizing this one tool. And I wanted to hint on something that Abraham, she said, she compared what you were just saying to the locks that are in the Panama Canal one time. I heard her say that she said that, you pull up to the locks in the channel of the Panama Canal, and the next lock is 80 feet. And there's no way that giant cruise ship or giant boat is going to jump from one lock to the other. It's just not possible. But what they do is they start to fill the one lock up, and then you move into the next place, and then you fill the lock and you move into the next place. And when they finally get to that 80 feet difference or whatever it is, there's not even a ripple in the water. It's just moving into the next place. And I really
Mhm.
liked that analogy because I've been through that and I've seen it, and I'm like, oh, that makes sense. So when I'm just saying I need this now, all I'm doing, instead of actually putting a request out there, is pushing it further away because I'm in resistance. So moving
Totally.
into what you just said, something that even if you're feeling like there's nothing to be grateful for, you can look at your hands and go, I have hands, right?
Mhm.
Yeah, you can look at you can feel your heart beating, or you can feel your breath and just go, I can breathe. Like others don't have that same luxury, right? And yeah, it's
Totally.
nuts.
And in doing that, I just want to say that in making that effort to shift your focus, even if it's in acknowledgement of your hands or in your ability to breathe, it's time that you're not spending stressing about whatever you were 20 minutes
Mm,
before. It's
okay.
about turning off that momentum and shifting to something else. So Abraham does also talk about like listening to the water drip, or it doesn't always have to be like, I've got to get into this state of meditation, or, because some people are really far from that in that moment. They just need an instant relief. And it could be as simple as shifting your focus to whatever it is. For me, my breath is always accessible. I might not be able to go outside. It might be raining outside. Sunshine might not be available,
Yeah.
but always I can feel the air circulating through my body. And in focusing on my breath, I'm not focusing on what's not going right. And if that's all you can do in that moment is just turn off the momentum, it's not even about activating or turning on this other reality. It's just about, I think that's how you get up through the locks, like you said, is to just be present and realize where you're building momentum. Where's the energy and that focus
Yeah,
headed?
so it's a daily practice for you, right? I think breathing obviously is a daily practice for all of us. We may not realize that we're doing it because our nervous system sometimes takes over and goes, "You need to calm down." So you go, "Okay," but that's you really saying, "Okay, I'm sending these messages to my brainstem, that wants to run, and the norepinephrine that's going through my body that's causing anxiety. I'm replacing that with melatonin and some other things, and we're just saying, okay, this is me working on myself." And I we've talked about this a lot in retreats, but I wanted we create that environment within us. And I want to talk about what it really means to deliberately create not just that environment within us, but that deliberate creation just in general. I mean, that's the name of your website. That's some of the principles that you push. What does deliberate creation mean?
Wow, it's like a lot to unpack, but
Yeah, yeah,
I think that a lot of us get on autopilot, and we're not deliberately creating at that point. We're allowing our current conditions and exterior circumstances to dictate how we feel, and how we feel creates our reality. So, deliberate creation is an awareness of those feelings and that law of the universe. It's happening at all times. And it's an effort to mindfully craft those feelings, to dictate them and not allow them to dictate you. And that comes with practice in several different forms. For me, my deliberate creation process and practice is a combination of meditation, where I'm going back to the breath, and that could range anywhere from 5 to 30 minutes, but I try to at least give some attention every single day to feeling that process of shifting the energy through my body, so that when I'm in the stoplight or something sets me off, or I'm, in an emotion that I want to shift from, it's easier to do so because I've practiced being in that headspace already earlier in the day, and ultimately you get better at anything that you practice. So I've let go of the idea that meditation is this activity and this another thing on my to-do list. I remember that it's a state of mind that I can be aware of and tap into at any time, at any place, just by going back to my breath. And the more I do that intentionally and in a focused manner, the easier it's going to get. So meditation, huge key. 2 is the visualization side of deliberate creation. And that's where we're going there vibrationally in our minds, not with the lackful vibe of wanting or needing, but with the satisfied energy of I've got it. It's already been fulfilled. I'm in this present state. And sometimes I don't know exactly where I'm going or what that looks like, but always I know what it feels like. I want any of the things I want because I want to be happy. And I can list 10 things right now that could get me to that happy, good feeling place. And that's sometimes like that might be the best I can do that day. Other times I get very specific. I know exactly what I want. And I know I might not know how to get there, but I know how awesome it's going to be on the other side. And I can start visualizing those realities in the present tense.
That I like how you just said that too, because I get asked it often. I like that you said jumping into the feeling what it is going to be like when that arrives. You just kind of said, what's it going to be like? And that's the feeling. If you don't have anything to be grateful for around you, you can jump into the feeling of what it will be like when you receive that $20,000. Like, I know what that's going to feel like. That's going to make me smile, right? And then you start to go into that chemicals within the body, which is a really nice way. So it sounds like meditation. I also really like that you said it can be anywhere between 5 and 30 minutes. So there is not like a requirement on your meditation. Like it needs to be this time every day for this amount of time to this type of music with this guided thing, utilizing this breath work, that it's different every day. And I think a lot of people get hung up in that, where they get hung up in, I just can't meditate and I can't quiet my mind. And I would say that we're not trying to quiet our mind at all. We're actually just trying to observe it and just slow down our nervous system to where we can move from our even below analytical thinking, like even like our alpha and beta waves, where we're like way up here in like conscious mind, to going into more subconscious mind reprogramming. And that's why people are always looking for this latest and greatest thing, like show me the new way to get enlightened. But the truth is it's ancient and it's let's go back to basics here. Like it's not about this, like if you wear this bracelet at the full moon reading the Tibetan book or the whatever, that you're going to somehow get enlightened. Like it's about go back to the basics, right? You were talking about just find something to focus on, whether it be a sound or a smell or a whatever. Like, because I would imagine in some of the environments that you're in, if you're on tour with a band, or if you're like driving and you're all, that you have maybe not as much downtime in quiet, perfect, serene meditation environments, which is always great when you do. But like you might be like at a concert venue somewhere and you need to get like, get ready for that particular channeling, if you will, the creative energy within you to get ready for that event. Can you talk about what to do when it's just chaos everywhere at a festival and you're trying to channel creative energy?
Yeah, totally. And this kind of ties into the last part of my process. I touched on the meditation, then the visualization side, and then there's the actual written side of it, which is a huge part of my overall meditation, because that's what it is. When I'm going from my mind to the pen to the paper, I'm 100% present in that moment. Same reason why they tell you to write things down that you want to remember. We took notes in high school, like this idea that you will retain the majority of which that makes it to the list. I even find with my tasks that things are 80% more likely to get done if they've gone from my mind to an actual task list, even if I never check it back off, just the writing it down. So I've applied that to my meditation practice in a way that if I can't get focused just through my breath, or in addition to focusing on my breath, I'll come to that pen or paper or my iPad, or even just grab whatever's around in the moment and let a few thoughts run from my mind, out through the pen. And it may be it's words, it could be just a picture visualizing something that I'm wanting to happen already completed. Like there's me and there's my client, they love their new painting, and that deal's closed or that task is complete. And it's just another way to help build momentum around those realities and practice the feelings of the things you want to accomplish, is to write those down. So that's a good way. If I'm at a festival and I can't get quiet, or there's a lot going on around me, I go back to my journaling and I let that be my deliberate creation and my meditation, where I can at least set an intention for that practice, even if it's just 5 minutes and a bunch of stick figures. I'm saying that for the next few minutes, I'm going to practice the feelings of my intended reality, and I'm going to let whatever words or anything come to mind just come out in that physical form. And wow, it's so powerful. I'd say that that is one of the single most important steps out of all of them to really, and it's one a lot of people skip because they're like, oh, I meditated about it, I've been thinking about it, it's cool. But if you visualize in the written form, it takes it to a new level. It really does.
Yeah, I agree. I do focus wheels often when it comes to major decisions in my life. I think that it's key for me to see it. But what you said about checking things off, that just feels good, right? When you write something, I've done it before where like I get something done that wasn't on my list and I write it on my list anyway, just so I can check it off.
100%.
Just be like, okay,
Yeah, totally.
yes, I did that. I wasn't even planning it. And it just feels really good to say, I did that. And it moves me, it keeps moving me in that momentum. And I talk about momentum a lot, like from the minute you get out of bed, like, don't hit the snooze button and like, don't look at your phone, and let's keep momentum, because that's really where we start to draw. I think Joe Dispenza calls it remembering your future. He says we move into this place where we remember our future and bring it closer to us. And he's been some of his talks have been really influential in deliberate creation as well. He's not really known as necessarily the law of attraction teacher, but his principles are the same, where it's like we need to shift our vibrations. We need to move away from all that stuff we don't like to the stuff that we do like. So yeah, I just read his book recently. We did a book club with the Becoming Supernatural book, and it was fantastic. Lots of science and lots of geeking out on things it makes this less mysticism and more really like, this is how we should be living. Maybe our ancient ancestors knew this already, and we just sort of lost it through who knows what. I'm not gonna say translation. I'd say we lost it just through being lazy, but mostly, and technology made us sort of lazy. But I know you use technology to do focus wheels. You used to do a lot of YouTube videos, and those are out there, which are pretty neat. It's on I think the page is Deliberate Creation, right? If I remember right, just on YouTube.
Yep.
And I've done a few of those. I know when I've shown some of your pictures to people, they go, "Well, I'm not an artist, so I can't do this." I'm like, yes, you can. Just draw the little swirl, and you put a little vortex in the middle, and you draw a few little things. And it's really more about not what it looks like, but what it feels like, right?
100%. It is not about the art of it at all.
Yeah.
It's about what it feels like when you're creating and just getting into that zone, and how just much more connected you can be when you're in that written flow, and present with that practice. I want to touch on something else you said about like, I agree. Joe Dispenza has absolutely bridged the gap between spirituality and science in this realm. And I love that he resonates with people that want to understand this on a molecular level, not just from personal experience. So he's been a huge teacher and influence or for me as well. And I don't think any of these teachers are really advocating for suppressing negative emotion, although I do think that that's a common misconception in, let's call it, the law of attraction, community, that it's just about moving away from negative emotions and not acknowledging the bad and positivity pushing. Whereas I think it's the complete opposite. It's about perspective and how we go about processing those negative experiences. Or before, we've been conditioned to run back through the mud, cycle back through all of the details until we somehow figure it out. And we come to it from that same perspective that initially made us feel bad, where this is applying, this concept. It's about feeling your way through those experiences, coming to them from a completely different vantage point that might allow you to gain some kind of new understanding, and knowing that it might take time to do that. I'm not avoiding it in this moment, but I am setting it aside until I can feel better about even processing what happened. I know if I come to it now where there's so much negative momentum building, that I'm going to only further that cycle. So I think just teaching people that you don't need to brush it under the rug, but it is absolutely okay to set it aside and come back to it from a different perspective and a different vibration.
Yeah, I mean, the negative emotions don't feel good. I think we hear things like saying, well, just turn towards something that feels better. And that's called spiritual bypassing, or they call it whatever names they want to give on it. I think in Joe's teachings, he really says like that thing of the past, it doesn't serve you creating in this moment now. And it doesn't, and what you're worried about in the future is unpredictable. So let's come back to this eternal now. But it doesn't mean you can't recognize that, hey, all this stuff that I went through brought me here. It's kind of like that moving sidewalk analogy, right? Where you can stop, you can turn around, you can walk the opposite way, you can sit down, but you're still being pulled on your path forward. And we can still look at the time when I sat, or the time when I turned away, or the time that I sat and cried, and say, hey, these were bad times, but look where I am now. I'm further down the road. And I think that is, in a way, gratitude. Just saying, look where I'm at on my path. I'm
sure.
I didn't get stuck.
Appreciating,
Yeah.
Acknowledging the experience is just that. It's a journey with not some like ultimate destination where we have it all figured out, but finding value in all of the experiences, even the negative ones. And that takes time. Some people are really hurt or damaged by whatever, sometimes it's pain where they feel it in this physical moment. So denying that or getting outside of that or moving past it in some way just is so difficult because it's very present, and in those instances, it comes with practice. That's where your breath work and your daily commitment to controlling your own energy comes into play, when those current conditions are so strong that you can't help but vocalize it or talk about it. Or even if you wanted to move past it, something keeps coming up, and in those times too, I ask myself, well, why is it still coming up? Is there still a point of attraction within me, even if it's subconsciously, that's bringing my attention back here? And how can I deal with it in a way that's going to allow me to effectively move forward so I don't have to go back here again?
Yeah.
But does that mean traditional talk therapy of just talking and talking and talking, or does it mean holding on to anger for the people that hurt me, or just feeling that is going to somehow make me feel better? I think those are very old and outdated ways of processing life experience, and we found even just through science that we are changing the cells in our bodies with our own vibration, and so we have to take some responsibility for that as well.
Yeah, I have used I've used focus wheels to manifest things like jobs, where to move. Like when I was caught in like a situation where I was like, where am I going to go? I don't even know, especially around like pandemic. We quarantined everything up, and it was like, well, I can't go to Costa Rica now. I can't do this now. I can't go there. What should I do? And so instead of using analytical mind, which wants to like tell you all the bad and maybe all the unknowns, moving into where we talked about inspired action, just receiving thought rather than thinking so much through it. And you did that with your RV, and I'm sure with other things, including a very large art installation that you have coming up in the very near future, which I'm really excited for you to talk about, because I've watched it go from a few paintings from a couple of friends to a very prestigious place to put your artwork. At least I think so. And I'm actually kind of back at manifesting a mobile vehicle too, because I'm getting ready to be on the road more, and we'll talk about that a little bit too. But as I move back into normal swing of things, I'm finding that my calling is probably doing more of like the retreats and workshops on the road, and with my breath work and cold immersion, all that stuff is really taking me beyond my little community here in Southern Utah to all over. And so I need to put together how I'm going to do that, take the dog just like you, and like figure it out, because my Jeep is not going to really serve me the purpose that I need to. So yeah, I'm working through all that. But so you have an art installation coming out, if I can kind of go down that road, about the mural maze. Now you tell the story much better, and you know it much better than I do, but where essentially half of a piece of a festival is all your creation with your friends, and it's your brainchild, but like it is your creation, and it became a place where people spend hours, if not days, going in and out of to really connect to themselves, to connect to the artwork, and it's also a really great place and outlet for artists to, especially in a time where it's been difficult to travel or be in art shows or galleries. This is massive, Anya, like that people can come into. Will you tell me a little bit, if you will, just the history of Mural Maze at Halloween and what's happening this year? I know that's your next like upcoming like big
Yeah.
project.
Totally, totally. The mural maze is definitely a good example of a powerful manifestation that started as just an idea. I had attended my first music festival, Purple Hatters Ball, as we mentioned earlier, at Swanee Music Park. And it was right before I went on tour with the Ferris wheel. That was like my first festival to break it in and see what this festival life was going to be all about before I went and did a bunch of major ones that summer. And being in those really special festival grounds at Swanee and just seeing how people were interacting with the live art that was there, I knew that this could be taken to a much bigger scale, and that ultimately I wanted to create an interactive art installation that people could walk through, that could grow and evolve. And I had no idea at the time, but I did have this vision, and I received the name the Mural Maze. So at that festival, I told some of the other artists, guys, I've got this cool opportunity with this Ferris wheel. I think it's going to grow. Eventually, I want to build this mural maze. And I just see us all being involved somehow. And some of those artists were Christopher Morphus, I mentioned earlier, and Andy Reid was another artist that ended up playing an integral role that first year. But anyway, so that was in February. And then come October of that same year, Paul Levine, the producer of Halloween, reached out and connected me with the art director, and they wanted me to just paint a big wall on the front of what's called Spirit Lake, this area where all of the art installations live. And I came out and I hired Andy Reid and another friend, Kevin Vigil, and we did the whole 20 8x4 panels all by ourselves. And it's about 600 square feet. And the next year, they hired me back to do another entrance wall. And I realized that they still had the same pieces from the year before. And they used those pieces for another wall inside of Spirit Lake. So by the third year, I had a whole nother set of entrance walls and all the old ones. And I formed these 8x8 triangles. There were 6 of them that people could walk in and around. And every year it just kept growing. I was invited back. I've written bigger and bigger proposals. I work with a full build team now to take the old pieces and show me, like, figure out how we can restructure them so that they can make a new shape and form, and also just present it in a different way for people that have seen them, but yet be totally new. What happens at a lot of these festivals is the art gets created, it either gets sold off or thrown out or, maybe used again. But this has been an beautiful evolution of art that artists have then come back to contribute to. So they feel this ownership and a part of the mural maze, not something they just sold off, but something they know that will be appreciated for years to come. I seal each piece, and, we do our best to protect them so that they can be used again, and, just create a whole new experience for people. So now this will be Mural Maze 8. I have almost 7,000 square feet of beautiful visionary art created from artists from all over the world. I have a full-on application process now, so it's definitely expanded beyond just my personal friend group. And now I'm really passionate about creating the opportunity for other artists to not only create large-scale art like this, but get to witness what happens when 30,000 people are walking through and getting to be one-on-one with your piece in a huge way. The artists themselves I've seen so much growth because they're watching how their art is changing people's lives, and they hear this huge calling like, whoa, I'm actually meant to do this. And then we have a gallery where they can sell their work and people are paying money for it. And maybe that hasn't happened for a lot of these people before. So it's not just about the people that are walking through the mural maze from a patron perspective, experiencing the festival. It's for the artists that have come through every year and realized their own potential from having opportunities like this. So I'm very passionate about the mural maze and, art in general, collaborating, being able to bring in other artists to help them find their own strengths, and then just, the ripple effect carrying on. So Mural Maze 8 coming this year at Halloween. It is going to be hopefully bigger and better than ever in that process right now.
How many artists?
Details.
How many artists are part of that?
So I went from 3 artists the first year and 1 build person to now 2 years ago, year 7, we had a team of 35 people. That included the artists, our build crew, our assistants, our gallery attendants. So it's significantly grown, and we're finding resources to make it happen. This is one other thing I'll mention that I think is important, is that throughout this process of wanting to bring this dream to life and, just get bigger and create this opportunity, I've been met with a lot of resistance and hurdles along the way, whether they've been financial or, just personally as a leader, my own issues and growth that had to happen through the course of, this project. And I've never let any of that hold me back. I've decided that I'm going to get more and more organized every single year. I take what I learned from the previous year and I implement it so that I can be that much more effective for my team and for everyone else and for myself, so that I can actually enjoy the experience and not get too burnt out because I haven't learned from my mistakes. I feel like there's been so much personal growth that's worth mentioning. And then two, when the festival tells me they don't have my budget, I just find sponsors. I do not take no for an answer financially. The universe has plenty of funds to make this happen, and I'm open every single time to figuring out what those are. And this year will be no different. I'm, just really excited to see how it unfolds, even though I don't have all the answers.
No, and I think it's good that we don't have the answers, right? Let the universe answer it for us to be like, hey, this is my vision and these are the small little things that I'm thinking about, but then you go ahead and make it specific. I think it's wonderful because there's so many artists out there, even where I live, artists who don't know how to sell their paintings. They try to get it into like a local cafe or a local gallery or something, and they're finding that they're not getting the traction maybe that they want. And I think that the Mural Maze is an amazing opportunity for those who are interested, first of all, just to do it, but also those who are aspiring and also trying to deliberately create their life in art. And I hope that and may it go beyond, that Mural Maze and may it go to many festivals. I don't know if that's what your end goal is, or that's what you're doing this year, but I may it just show up at lots of different regional and national and global festivals, because I think it would be a fantastic thing for art.
Thank you. This is actually directly connected to another offering that I have at this time. So when the Mural Maze was on hold and COVID happened and we're all back stuck at the studio, much like you, I had to figure it out. And I realized I have this vast knowledge of experience about being a professional artist, about painting large scale murals, and about creating and curating these large scale installations. So I created a group, Art in Session, and it's a full on library of art classes, business related. I started with a 6-session series for artists wanting to monetize their craft, going over everything from marketing to printmaking to finding new clients to writing contracts, like really the basics of what it is I do as a professional. I was able to document that content, pull it, get it packaged in a way that could benefit artists from years to come, so that when I do hit the road again and might not have as much time to share that information, I took the time I did have to create that. I just released my Murals and More series, which was a 4-week series about monetizing that craft, how to find those clients and create those mock-ups and proposals that are going to land those big jobs. So in addition to living it and doing it, same with deliberate creation, all of it, I'm just trying to give back, because what is this life experience if we just keep it to ourselves and have that vibe of competition or that lackful vibe of if somebody else wins, I have to lose. I'm of the opposite mentality, that there's infinite resources and abundance, that this is a win-win situation for everyone. And by me lifting up other artists and providing this information and opportunity, like I'm really fulfilling my life's purpose.
Yeah, I think.
I just wanted to mention Art in Session.
Yeah, and they find that through your webpage, right?
Yep, you can find that at artinsession.com.
Art in Session. Okay, not at Ania Amador. Okay, Art in Session.
You can. There's a link. Yeah, if you go to aniaamador.com, there's going to be a link to all these different things: deliberate creation, Art in Session. You can also find the classes and available workshops at artinsession.com.
That's amazing. I'm hoping that those who are looking for that find this. Maybe that's why we're talking today. I'm certainly going to share it to a few others. I think it's definitely needed. I was thinking about Jay Shetty. I don't know if you're familiar with Jay, but he talks about competition and collaboration, and how collaboration is a much more powerful resource. And you touched on it, but maybe not directly saying it, but like that resource of collaboration in turn turns off that idea that there isn't this infinite amount of abundance. It's saying, I'm going to compete for what's mine, rather than saying there's so much we can totally share and make this even better. And I think that's maybe just going a little bit more specific with it, but it's certainly true, and that releases that resistance. Like, let it go.
Mhm.
There's room for millions of artists out there, and there's room for millions of mural mazes, and there's places
Mhm.
for us to paint everywhere, and there's ways to be creative. I've seen some of yours and some of our shared friends, that are creating murals in places that if you were to think about it really hard, you wouldn't be painting there. You just, you, it has to come to you. I mean, like when you painted the pool, I don't think you were like, I just want to paint a pool. I think it just showed up and you're like, oh, yeah, I could paint a pool, or this particular wall or this particular thing. We always think of like a mural as, oh, a mural must be on a side of a building somewhere, but that is certainly not true with what you're doing. Most of your stuff is very, very specific, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, I've got a lot of unique projects that have not been limited by like where you traditionally think paintings happen or
Yeah,
where opportunities happen. And this ties directly back into where you're at right now, Ryan, with wanting to manifest the right travel vehicle that can open the door to this
yeah,
path that you know you're meant to be on. And going back to just the openness to there being many different routes to get to the same place. In our minds, we can get really set on that one path that looks like the way straight there.
yeah.
We think that if circumstances or current conditions show us something outside of that vision, that we must be on the wrong path, or it's not working because I'm not there yet, or it doesn't look like how I thought it would. There are so many different ways to get to that place, and our end goal. We have to trust that if we are laying the vibrational groundwork, we're doing the work, then we are on the right path. And whatever's showing up is just a piece to that puzzle. When you have that like type of faith in the universe, in this process, in yourself, it is amazing how quickly you can get there and how rapidly these things unfold. And it's been everything from, like you mentioned, my RV before, or even the mural maze just being an idea, to even just a month ago, I finished this mural. I had no idea what would happen. I painted a lot of cool things and unique spaces since the space pool. Yet this was an ocean ceiling mural that I was like, oh, I don't know if people will really like it, but let me get there in my mind. And I made a focus wheel, little stick figure, me in the center, and I put like gone viral, 25,000 new followers on Instagram, gone viral on Reddit. And sure enough, I post the mural, it starts to take off. I start to build momentum about like these opportunities unfolding, and it actually happened, like the correlation between what I wrote down and then what was physically unfolding, to being willing to say, oh, I didn't reach the exact numbers. Okay, I must be on my way. This must not be over yet. There must be more to this story.
Mm.
Instead of just constantly evaluating where I am based on what I see in front of me, I'm like always on the long-term goal and in that unwavering faith that if I'm doing the work, then there's another way to get to the same place.
And you hit on it too, though, is that I think us looking at our phones for to be validated is actually stopping the momentums. Knowing that, I always say to people when I'm talking focus wheels or teaching them is close the book. Don't come back to it for a little while. Don't sit there and look at it. Why I have it? Because you've already been heard. You've already put that vibration out there that what you want and how it's going to feel. And then, but if you sit there and stare at it all day wondering, why isn't it here? And it's
Right.
kind of like looking at your phone going, I don't have enough likes. Why don't I have enough likes? And of course, it's not going to come to you like that. You need to release the resistance again and put it all away and know that it is on its way. It's like,
Right. And
was it Paulo
quality over
Coelho said
quantity.
that? Paulo Coelho said, when you want something bad enough, the whole universe conspires to make it so, or make it happen.
Yeah, in your favor, for
In your
sure.
favor. Yeah. So it's
Definitely.
fantastic. So I know that there's a lot of people out there that want to hear what you have to say, and you're on tour, you're doing things, you're making mural mazes. They can find you at Halloween, but tell me about some of the other festivals if you can talk about them. Where are you going to be painting at?
Totally. Let me give you a quick rundown. In end of August, I'm actually at home in Florida right now. I'm going to be painting a couple more murals to help fund this adventure
Sure.
for the rest of the year. I'm headed to summer camp August 22nd. That's in Illinois, Summer Camp Music Festival. I'll make my way back to Florida after that, maybe pick up a few jobs on the way, just mural projects kind of in between these festivals. And then in September, I'm headed off to Resonance Music Festival. That is going to be in West Virginia this year. So back
Okay.
up the East Coast, yep, in the RV. And then I'm going to hang out in New Jersey the week after that, hit a music festival in New York. I'll be in Afton, New York, the first week of October before I head back to Florida to prepare for Reggae Rise Up and Halloween, which are back-to-back weekends. So I'm actually going to go set up the mural maze, leave, go do Reggae Rise Up, come back to finish setting up the mural maze, and then have Halloween.
All right.
So yeah, quite a jam-packed schedule.
I think there's a Reggae Rise Up that happens here in Utah, isn't there? I don't know if they're doing it.
Yeah. Yep. Same company, same Reggae Rise Up Utah. It's a good.
You need to get you on the West Coast so we can link up for sure.
Totally.
Whenever that happens, I know that there's a few festivals that are starting to happen, and some of them are small and some of them are a little bit larger. But anywhere near Las Vegas or Salt Lake or even down in Phoenix is pretty close. So if you're ever in this direction, we're going to definitely link up. But I know that we talk shortly, and I don't even have all the information. I was actually waiting for this conversation to talk about this, but you are planning a retreat right after Halloween. Way to just pack it right all in on you.
Totally. I was about to say, and after Halloween, that brings us to Evolve, Art and Meditation Retreat. It's the name, Evolve. And that's what this weekend is about evolving as just a human in a creative way. So it's going to start, it's a 4-day retreat, Thursday night, and then Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. And the core of the weekend is about reflecting on where we've been, where we are, and where we're going. Maybe that's who we've been, who we are, being present in the moment, and then shifting into the future. So all of the activities, the art-related workshops, all of the offerings are based around this flow of evolving through and reflecting upon those different stages. And we hope to finish off the weekend just with a powerful, motivating fire lit, for everybody in attendance to move on. And it's so exciting to get back to in-person events. I've really gotten comfortable on Zoom, and I love that we've opened up these offerings globally when we can incorporate Zoom and an online option. But just to be back in a physical space is going to be very exciting. I look forward to, talking to you more about that, and hopefully getting to see some of your listeners in person.
Yeah, no, I think that those they're interested in this work are listening now because they're meant to be here, right? They're meant to hear this, and they're meant to say, I need to go do Evolve. So there's plenty of time to think about it. Do you know where you're going to be, where Evolve is already?
Yes, I do. It's going to be in North Carolina, Hendersonville, North Carolina. That's from November 11th to the 14th. And we've rented an amazing cabin. It's perfect spot for that, kind of not too cold yet, but wintry cabin feel, and really help people to focus on, what they're there to do, that personal and creative growth. It's not just for artists. There will be some painting offerings, and just that being a means of facilitating this evolution over the course of the weekend, but certainly open to anyone who's creative or not.
Yeah. And I just got back from North Carolina a little while ago. I was there doing a Wim Hof method weekend and 2 days doing that. And but I'll be back for November. I'm actually headed to Amsterdam to go train in January. So we both, but that November weekend fits perfect because it's that's before I leave. Awesome. And it's a great time. It's Hendersonville. I'm not familiar. Is that close to Asheville? Is it?
It's about an hour outside of Asheville.
Okay. Yeah. So you could fly to Asheville and then get your way up there. So wicked. That's really great. And I'm guessing tickets are going on sale soon, or they're not yet for that?
They are going on sale soon. I'll be releasing the package information and everything, what's included in those final prices here within the next couple of weeks. Okay. So you'll be able to find that information again at aniaamador.com. I'll link everything over to my expansion retreats.
Yeah, I'll link your pages on the show notes here so they can easily find them at any time whenever they go on sale. Plus, I know when they do go on sale, though, they can look at my social media because I will definitely be promoting it also. So, just to come out there. Is it limited how many people you can have? So
it is. This is going to be an intimate small group. We're looking at probably about max 12 participants.
Okay.
10 to 15. And we've got a team of 5 facilitators and instructors and a chef. And that way we just can have a very intimate personal growth experience. And then, we'll do our best to document some of this material because I think that there's going to be a lot to come up and unpack. And we're kind of learning as we go. The only thing that's making myself or my business partner, Chris Morphus, capable or qualified to teach these things is just that we're applying these methods in our own personal life. We've seen a lot of growth as we've talked about here today, and we really want to share that with other people.
Yeah, I know that the last retreat that you and I did together at in Georgia was very impactful for a lot of people. It was sort of like, let's just figure this out and let's put the pieces together, and we don't know what's going to happen with the weekend, but this is it was kind of like, well, the way we manifest. Let's like just be really general. We want good
Mhm.
feelings. We want there to be yoga. We want there to be art. We want there to be opportunities for growth. We want people to explore on their own if they want, free time.
Mhm.
And and I think we accomplished that. And it didn't come without a little bit of heartache and headache, but it certainly was. I still keep in contact with some of those people that came to that weekend. So those who want to come to this, because it is
Mhm.
intimate, don't wait till like hopefully November to get it. You're going to know that this is going to be sought after by even people who came to the last retreat may say,
Yeah,
I
totally.
am ready for this now. And with it, the way the technology works with email lists and so forth, there's going to be a lot of demand on this and probably future retreats. So I know that we wanted to do
Totally.
this. It just, with the world shutting down, so did retreats shut down. So,
Yeah.
um, well, I'm excited for that to come out and for this to happen now. So I will link your websites, plural, and your Instagrams and so forth, in the show notes. I don't know if you're in a place to do this right now. Are you in a place to lead a short meditation, or is it?
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure. Yeah.
Um, so I usually ask a guest to at least share something that I don't share. That's something that's a little bit different than my personal practice, because I teach a lot of breath work and I teach a lot of meditations, but we're all unique in a way. And I think the way you teach about getting into the vibration of creation is unique to you. And I would love for the listeners to hear how you draw us in that direction rather than from what is to what can be.
Okay. Awesome. That sounds good. I usually just start with 5 deep breaths to kind of clear everything. I generally close my eyes, especially if I'm in a distracting place. And it's not because you have to, you can just get into a slight gaze, but the point is to focus and to shift the focus back to your breath. So inhaling fully and exhaling fully, using these first few breaths just to move that energy and feeling your way through each breath as your lungs expand and as you exhale and release everything from before this moment. Continuing to breathe. We're going to use our breath as a powerful tool to release the resistance throughout our entire body. Let's start at our feet, inhaling fully and exhaling fully, letting that air flow up through your legs, calming into your knees. Again, the awareness of your lungs expanding and that air feeding all of the cells, all the oxygen dispersing throughout your entire body, up into your thighs. Let's take a big deep breath into our lower back. Hold a lot of tension here. On the release, a big exhale. Just getting more comfortable in this position. Let's breathe up into our spine. Another big inhale. Using your breath to push that energy up. Exhaling into your shoulders. Again, releasing the tension. Relaxing fully. Breathe into our arms. Feeling that oxygen move through our forearms, the tips of our fingers. Let's take a big deep breath back into our shoulders, into our neck, and now into our mind. Another big inhale, expanding your lungs. And on the exhale, we're going to clear the space in our mind, picturing everything from the day just flowing out, almost imagining an empty room that you've cleared with your breath. Now we're going to stay here in this space of clarity, of focus, of control. Now breathing naturally. And we're going to align with our highest good, whatever that means in this moment for you. Maybe it's just being relaxed and present and aware. Maybe you're already on the other side of a big goal that you know that you've reached vibrationally, and now you can just milk those feelings of gratitude and excitement. Maybe you're filled with a sense of love and appreciation for yourself and for others in this planet. We're going to use our breath to savor this moment, to build momentum around these feelings. And we'll close with another 5 deep breaths, continuing to spin the top, to feel that awareness of your breath and the power and control you have in any given moment through this process. Inhaling fully into your belly, into your lungs, and exhaling fully, releasing it all, knowing that this state of mind that we're in right now can be accessed anytime, anywhere. When you're ready, staying present with your breath, you'll come back to this space. Maybe wiggle your fingers and your toes. Just really savoring that sense of awareness and, again, control that you're able to practice and harness through this breath work.
That's Ania, that's always nice to like participate. Sometimes, just to sit back and say, I'm just gonna listen and hear, not even hear the words, but feel the vibration of shift. And we can do that anywhere. That's why I wanted to ask if you were in the space to do that, because sometimes we feel like maybe we're not, but we can do that anywhere. Just creating that little bit of a shift for 5 minutes. Thank you for coming on and talking and just telling me all the things you're doing, because I don't think that social media gives it all the justice. It just tells the good points, and I'm sure that there has been positive and contrasting experiences that have happened to, since the last time we've met. I can't wait to reconnect, and we will at Evolve, and I want to chat with you after we get off here a little bit about that. But those who are looking for you, they can just go to your website. I'll link it here. It's aniaamador.com, and they can go to the Create in Space website. Also, your Instagram is usually full of lots of fun time lapses and pictures and fun things that you're doing. I always it ends up on my feed. Maybe it's because I'm somehow social media stalking you. I'm not sure, but I always end up with your things, which I guess that's how it is, right? That either the universe is listening or Siri's listening, but it gives us what we need.
So glad. I'm so glad to circle back with you, Ryan. I'm super proud of you and all that you've accomplished, and just your own personal growth and willingness to share that with others and everything that's to come. You're just building this beautiful example of everything we talked about here today, as you have this opportunity to apply it and to allow this or better to unfold for you. So I'm super stoked for you, man. Thank you so much for this time and this space to get to talk about it. I'm really grateful for you.
You're very welcome. Talk to you soon.
Thanks.